Hello and welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Abby Ritchie and I am your host. You can find me here every Tuesday interviewing people who are involved in age tech. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and run our intro. Well, I am thrilled to have two guests with me today. I love having company. You guys all probably recognize Steve Moran here, right? Hi, Steve. Thanks for joining us.
Man, I'm really glad to be here. I'm going to start with an intro here for Addie. Addie is with a company called Clair Labs, and mostly I'm going to shut up here for a minute, but I sort of brought Addie at the last minute to the table. We had some complexities for this week's show. So Addie, first off, thank you for being willing to step in through the weekend. But I want to start by saying this. I get to see a lot of technology that comes my way, new and emerging technology. And mostly it falls into two buckets. The first is, I don't get it. I don't know why people are doing that, why you even think this is a good idea. I helped to judge some tech startups a few months ago. They were actually out of Israel, and a couple of them was like, are you brain dead? You must have no idea. And then the rest of them are, yeah, kind of cool technology, interesting, but I don't know that it actually has any practical application. I don't think you can sell it.
I'll say the same myself too, because I get a lot of DMs in LinkedIn and a lot of people reaching out. And just like Steve, a lot of times I'm like, I don't see the connection here, or this has been done before. So when Steve brought this to my attention, I thought, yes, let's definitely talk about this.
Yep. So anyway, so that's why I came here. Was once I heard about this, I did a call with one of your colleagues last week, and it's like, oh man, what we're focused on is things that help make the lives of people who live and work in senior living better. In your case, you help make the lives of both residents and team members better. And with that, maybe Abby, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. So Addie, would you please go ahead and introduce yourself and Clair Labs and how you got started and where you're going?
Yeah. So first of all, Abby, Steve, thank you for this last minute opportunity. Great pleasure being here. And I must tell you that when you started categorizing startups into those different categories, I was waiting to see where you're going to put me in. So it's a good start. Thank you. So my name is Adi Berenson, and I am the CEO and the co-founder of a startup called Clair Labs. We are 4.5 years old, so we started in 2018. What we are building is health monitoring technologies that are passive, that are contactless. Basically, when you're becoming an older adult, in many cases, some are saying even in 80% of the cases, you are at some point diagnosed with at least one chronic condition. And monitoring your condition is becoming something as a part of your daily routine. Now, our mission in life is not to change your daily routine. Our mission in life is that this diagnostic will not mean that you are now need to act like a sick patient. Our mission in life is that you will continue to live your normal life while we will, at the background, will use technology to monitor your vitals in medical grade precision without any effort at all. I will explain, with your permission, Abby, a little bit about my background, and I will show how it fits in. So I'm not coming from age tech, and I'm not coming from health tech. I'm humbled in this stage in my life to try to make a difference there. I'm coming from consumer electronics. I worked for Apple before that, and I was a part of the team that actually incubated the whole move of Apple from Touch ID to Face ID that resulted in the introduction of the iPhone 10. Now, in Apple, we had this kind of religion, if you will, of building easy to use products. When I started facing the challenge of how to deploy health monitoring solutions in scale to the chronic patients, older adults, I came to the conclusion that easy to use is not enough. Zero to use is what is needed. Yeah, and that's a kind of the religion in Clair Labs. We are building technology that require zero participation. We want to say to older adults, you don't need to do anything. We have this slogan, if you will, and I can explain about the technology, but we have this slogan, sleep well, we'll do the rest, meaning at the end of the day, like everybody else, you go to your bed and you sleep. At that time, our sensor that is just there at the background will use those 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever time, in order to collect information about your cardiac and respiratory functions at the background, broadcast it securely to a cloud, and analyze it to make sure that they're all aligned, that you are not deviating from the baseline, and creating smart alerts to your physician if it happens. So that's in a nutshell. Yeah.
I think this is great. I'm working with clients one-on-one. I go to their homes, I go to their apartments, to their casitas, to their villas, and I see a lot of this extra equipment, right? And so when you said just a little while ago, you said about, well, you may have this chronic condition, it has to be monitored throughout the day. That comes with extra pieces that then fill your home and then make you feel something other than the vital person that you are. When you see the blood pressure monitor here and there, and you see the sleep monitor by the side of the bed, all of these devices make you feel that something is wrong with you. So having less of that in front of you is going to help you, continue to live a enjoyable life.
So Abby, that's a wonderful comment, and I would like, with your permission, to complement it. So maintaining lifestyle is indeed where we started, but what we started finding out is that once you start to operate those devices exactly as you described during the day, not only it's cumbersome and it makes you feel like something is wrong with you, exactly as you put it, also the measurements that you are producing are flawed. Because, and I will explain, for example, you come up the stairs, your heart rate goes up, okay? Yeah. If you're a COPD patient, this effort makes your saturation drops. Now, this doesn't mean that you're deteriorating, not at all. That's what we call noise. Now, to control that, it's extremely difficult to physicians. So what we are saying is the standard of care today is not only cumbersome, it's not only interfering with your lifestyle, it's not only make you feel like there is something wrong with you, it's also not good care because the signal itself is noisy. So what we did, and I'm sorry for the lengthy answer, what we've found out is that actually collecting those vitals during the night is not only convenient, it's actually magical. We have done pilots in which we've seen that for people, when you go into the deep sleep, your heart rate and your respiratory rate and your oxygen sat are the same every night to this last digit, like 56, 56, 56. If it's 57, it's enough for us to start believing that something is wrong. During the day, you are not going to raise alarms even on 10 beat per minute deviations. So, So that's just complemented from the clinical side. Sorry. Yeah.
And I think it's part of it's this piece of your information about the vitals being tracked inaccurately needs to be discussed, because when someone, your physician, or even as a child to an adult parent, you want to do the best thing for them, and you want to follow the physician's orders, and to know that you're collecting data that's not accurate is completely against what the desire is.
Yeah. I'll give you an example on blood pressure, even a personal example. The first time I was sent to exams, by the way, I thought I'm a healthy person. My blood pressure went through the roof. Now, my physician told me everything is fine. Now they asked me to go to the nurses every day, and it was always through the roof. But then the thesis that they have is what they call the white coat syndrome. So they asked me to do an ambulatory blood pressure, and it was perfect normal. Now, what I've learned through that is that in some countries in Europe, they are not prescribing to you blood pressure medicine if you are not going through ambulatory blood pressure, because they came to the conclusion that those daily measurements are noise, because of this adrenaline and white coat syndrome and so on. But today, ambulatory blood pressure is not accessible. You're doing it once every 3 years, once every 4 years, because pumping your arm, every half an hour. So this ambulatory medicine is what we want to make available to everybody with zero intrusiveness, if you will. Yeah. So that's just an example. Yeah.
And Steve put this in our chat as well. What vitals are you collecting?
So today, okay. So we are starting today with 3 vitals, with SpO2, which we are the first ever to do that. And I will explain a little bit. So SpO2 is the oxygen saturation level. Is actually it's a number, percent, like 99, 98%. It's the percent of hemoglobin attached to oxygen in your arteries.
Okay.
The arteries are transferring oxygen-rich blood, and they serve it to organs, and then blood without oxygen comes back to the lungs. Usually, if you will put a pulse oximeter on your finger, you will see readings like 99%, 98%, 97%. Below 95, 94, it's starting to be an issue. 92, low 90s, you are going to start talking about oxygen therapy. So that's the number one marker in pulmonary for respiratory diseases. And that's actually a very important marker for even for heart failure. And by the way, in COVID, it became, as one clinician told me, it became a first-class citizen in the world of vitals. But measuring this from 6 foot away, that was science fiction before we started. How do you look at a person and know the percentage of hemoglobin attached to oxygen, right? That's nobody believed that we could do it. But if you want a little bit the story behind it, so the way it works is, the way it works is the following. If you will take a person and you will squeeze, you will choke this person will become blue, because blood is red when it is carrying oxygen. It's blue when it's not carrying oxygen. Now, getting this tone measured very, very accurately, it's the art of what we do in Clair Labs. Do it in a way that it's comparable to a medical grade Massimo Nellcor pulse ox is what we have been working on for the last 4.5 years.
I can tell you're very passionate about it. It comes across, and we could tell you're super excited about it. Now, I have a little question, okay? And please forgive my ignorance. How different is that from what's lately being tested on some of the newer Apple Watches?
Yeah, so you're right. Pulse oximetry has been around for 30 years. It started with the clip, okay? And then it went, that's called transmissive technology, because light goes through your finger. And it went into reflective technology, which goes into your watch. And what we are doing, we are the first to do reflective remote. So if you will take the watch and you will take it away from your hand, it will lose the signal. Okay.
Yep.
So we are doing it from 6 feet away. So that's from a technology point of view. Now, from a human experience point of view, the watch is still not passive for us. The watch still requires charging. It still requires to keep putting it on. Some people have enough. This is a very special real estate, if you will. A lot of people have some very special jewelry or an old watch that they like to put there. So this is, for us, already changing lifestyle. Some people like it, and we are not. We're not arguing at all. We're just saying there is an alternative, which is really passive.
Yes.
So
yes.
I
really
hope,
passive.
Yeah.
Now, because when it comes down to something like this, or fall detection, or heart rate monitor, it's only as good as the person who's wearing it. right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's basically this area is is a very noisy area, very bad area to do pulse oximetry. They are measuring it here because they cannot convince people to wear watches here, right? So that's how they got to it. I mean, it's full of bones and a lot of things that are interfering. This is a beautiful area. Actually, if you think about older adults with chronic conditions, some of them has perfusion issues, so you cannot measure in the periphery.
Mm-hmm.
So what we believe is that not only we bring passive, we are, I mean, again, we are not demanding from the patient anything.
Yeah.
As long as once in a while during the night, we're going to have some exposure to your face, we're going to get ICU level readings. So, yeah.
Very cool.
So it's not patient dependent, exactly as you mentioned it.
Tell us about the sensors. Do you know that they're there?
You mean, is the patient seeing them? I mean, is this the question? So
Yeah.
there is a device. Think about it like a night lamp. So it has this kind of, I mean, we're trying to design it as ambient or, as non-intrusive as possible also from its appearance in the bedroom. I mean, it's nothing like a ventilator or a CPAP or nothing like that. But it is a device that in long-term care, we attach it to the wall. So in a fixed location. So think about it like a small, elegant, nicely designed lamp above your bed. And that's it. So you know that it's there. And actually, in my mind, it's good that you know that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about demanding stuff from you. It's reminding you that that you are being taken care of. I mean,
Right.
that's the message we want our device to carry.
Mm-hmm.
So one more, you look at oxygen saturation. What else do you measure?
Okay, so the other two are heart rate and respiratory rate. And so those are the ones that we have taken through clinical validation. And those are the ones that we are taking through FDA clearance. So we're not, I did not create this company to bring to the world another gadget.
Mm-hmm.
It's a proper medical device that have a 510K from the FDA. So it can be prescribed by physicians. It is reimbursed by healthcare plans. And that's why there is a certain roadmap to the introduction of vitals. So those three are the first that we are currently in clearance, about to get cleared.
Mm-hmm.
What is coming next? I can already share what we're working on. So we're working on arrhythmias. So we want to be able to do diagnostic of things like AFib, like atrial fibrillation, by measuring the distance between bit to bit. Now I will share with you a little bit about the challenges of AFib before we are coming in. So what is happening is the following. You feel something is wrong. I mean, like you missed a heartbeat or something. Every person feels it at some point. If you feel it more often, you go to your doctor and you say, I'm concerned. Now, when your physician will inspect you, nothing will be wrong there because it happens once in a while. Then they will give you an Holter. Then even in 24 hours, in some cases, it will not happen. And then you are going into this weird discussion with your physician. Some of them will believe you, some will not believe you, come back in 6 months. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
AFib is a serious business because if you don't treat AFib, it increases your chances for a stroke. So your concern as a patient is valid. Now, what we are saying is that let's get rid of all of this. We are with you every night. If you have AFib, we will see it. Not today, not tomorrow. And once we see it, we record it. And we record it, you will go with it to a physician. And end of story.
Yeah.
Okay? So AFib coming next. And then ambulatory blood pressure is something that we want to do as well. Each and one of them extremely challenging from a technology point of view. I hope that the results that we are showing on pulse ox and heart rate and respiratory rate will convince our customers that we are capable of continuing to deliver. Yeah.
How about blood sugar?
I wish, Steve. I'm not aware of the way. I mean, so many companies try to do non-intrusive blood sugar, and I'm seeing that someone is asking about blood pressure. The answer is yes on blood pressure. We are going to do blood pressure. We're going to start from ambulatory blood pressure, so blood pressure changes. What we want to do, we want to show the famous sleep time blood pressure dip, which means you don't have hypertension. It's better than the actual numbers. But again, to go back to your numbers, blood sugar is currently, it's too far away for me to claim that. To continue, Steve, just one last comment. There are indirect markers to development of type 2 diabetes that we are exploring with the academia. So maybe we cannot measure blood sugar, but maybe we can, through other functions, try to assess the how well manages your type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. So Addie, I actually really like that concept a lot, right? So blood glucose as a number has been sort of this holy grail that we rely on. But what if there were actually another way to figure out the same thing, which is what I think I hear. So, you say, well, maybe there's a new, better measurement or a new, different measurement that will get it better. So one of the questions I think that you haven't really talked about that I think has got to be a really important thing is, what if there are two people in the same room? Does that require two devices, or what happens?
Excellent. So a lot of questions are here, and also one that I want to touch from the in the chat room about how do we do ambulatory blood pressure. So I will first answer about two people in the room.
Okay.
Because this is a question that, believe me or not, when we started contactless vital monitoring, for some reason we didn't anticipate. But when we came into actual care providers, they told us, actually, how do you know that you're taking the vitals from the right person? I mean, before we are even talking about doing it in parallel. How do you know? Because when we're putting it the measurement on, then we know. And then we realized that we have another advantage, that our competitor, we are not the only company who is doing contactless, but other companies that are doing contactless based on radio frequency, and I will not dive deep into that, they don't know. So if you look at their FDA clearance, it's about single occupancy rooms and all kind of non-realistic. We know how to differentiate between two bodies, even if they are cuddling in bed. I mean, and we want to encourage cuddling. And we, not only that, we can use kind of biometric identifications to know which is the person. So before we are doing two people from one device, we will know to get the vitals only from the right patient. So we're not going to pollute the electronic medical record. I mean, the grandchildren are jumping up and down in bed, and we're going to start collecting their oxygen sat, and that's not correct. So we know how to do that. Now, to your question, with a software upgrade, we can design a device that can do two people in parallel and feed the right electronic medical record by each one's vitals. Currently, the first version that is currently in pilot is per patient. So one device per patient. Okay. So that's one.
So I'm sort of smiling here because I've got these sort of scenarios running in through my head a little bit, right? So what if two people who normally occupy different units decide to get together? So if you were in a building, you could transfer that knowledge. On the other hand, maybe they wouldn't want that much of an invasion of privacy. So it raises all sorts of really interesting questions, right?
Absolutely, Steve. Privacy, and I'm not going to escape this question, privacy is a big issue. And I will tell you how we handled it. So a lot of companies are collecting a lot of information and try to convince their patient, don't worry, we're going to be very careful with your information. Nobody believes that. Okay, what we are saying is something much stronger. Device is incapable by design to output any information other than those vitals that the sticker says. Okay, so even if I will get a subpoena to extract all kind of data from the device, I do not have it. So we are taking privacy extremely serious. I do want to answer, if you're okay with it, the blood pressure question from the audience. How do we do it? Cuffless. Yeah, how do we do it? So because unlike the pulse ox in the watch or in the finger, we can measure a pleth, which is the signal that is associated with extraction and with volumetric changes of arteries in different places. And when we do it in different places, we can start measuring pulse transient time. So we can measure the time it took the pulse to go from one direction to the other. Now, there is a correlation between pulse transient time and blood pressure. What you may need to do from time to time is to calibrate the system with an actual cuff. So imagine that I will ask a patient once a month or once every 2 months use a cuff, and that's enough for me to keep calibration for the rest of the time. I will do it cuffless. So that's
Yeah.
So that's the plan. It's not yet in the product, but that's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Really exciting. And how far are you away right now of installing this?
So we have just finished clinical validation, meaning that we have what we need to submit to the FDA.
Mm-hmm.
We collected the data required to submit to the FDA. We are going to build the submission data in the next 3 months. So FDA submission is towards the end of the year. Unfortunately, these things take time. FDA clearance will take another 3, 4, 5 months, depends on the FDA workload. So halfway next year, we're going to be in pilots, mainly with the home care team of big healthcare providers. But we do want also to have pilots with assisted living communities, because for me, assisted living communities is like independent living, but in a facility in which, for a new technology like us, it's a more structured way of deploying it. There is a team that can support it. There is a team around that can handle. So I'm really eager to partner up during 2023 with with assisted living communities that would like to pilot with us. Yeah.
Really great. Yeah.
Can you talk about pricing?
So the way we price it is the following. What we are telling our customers is that all the services that we provide are reimbursed. So there are different codes. One example is the RPM codes, the remote patient monitoring codes. So if a physician is prescribing an older adult with a chronic condition RPM, then the insurance can pay between $100 and $150 per month reimbursement on this. By the way, the insurance is doing it because the insurer believes that it would prevent hospitalization, so he will make money on this. Now, what we are saying is that we are offering a turnkey service. Everything. We supply the devices. We cover the cloud cost, communication cost, support, everything, and we want per patient per month. So out of this reimbursement. Very simple, flat. That's the business model.
So one other thing that occurs to me as I sort of think about this is, if I were a senior living operator, besides sort of the obvious health benefits that you've talked about, one of the things that every operator has to do is do wellness checks every day to make sure residents are up and somebody hasn't fallen or had some sort of a critical incident. It would seem like this would be a really terrific way for operators to know that somebody was healthy without having to actually go into the room, knock on the room, wake people up, be intrusive. So do you have a dashboard so that I could take a look at it, or I could get some sort of a notification if there were a problem? How will that work, or do you have that set up?
Of course, the service has a physician dashboard, and physician doesn't. Also the nurse practitioner or nurse. A care provider dashboard, and the dashboard. You can log into the dashboard voluntarily, but also the dashboard provides smart alerts to your phone in case that we see something that requires. So we have this. However, again, to be a little bit humble here, changing workflows requires a lot of proof. lot of proof. So you need to have, because the liability associated with, I mean, for example, if we are not expecting facilities right now to change the workflow. For example, to say a nurse, you do not need to visit or take vitals because the device is there, because of all kind of liabilities associated with it. We think that this is what you are describing, Steve, is exactly the vision that we are stepping into, but it will take time. So that's why we're starting from RPM. We collect vitals, we provide it, you get reimbursement. I mean, we're not claiming that the nurse or should stop visiting the room. Maybe, or not maybe, once we build more solid data and we can get FDA clearance for diagnostic, not only for, then we can explain, look, these things you are looking for, we can do it autonomously. That's going to be a game changer, but it will take time, Stephen. That's the reality. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has just been enlightening. I love to hear about things like this. It just, like Steve said earlier, it's something that we haven't heard about before that we would love to bring more awareness to. And how can people find out about you or connect with you?
So I hope that there is a banner. Yes, there is a banner with my email here. And I mean, far away, really. Shoot emails with anything, questions. In this email, let me know a little bit about what it is that you think that my technology can do for you, so I will not have to guess. And I promise everybody, not only that I will reply, is that if I cannot help you, I will say that. So fire away. I'm eager to. I mean, people in the audience I'm a technologist, so but it's not. The people in the audience, what does it mean to run facilities like that? I want to learn from you. So bring it on. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Steve, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think this is just really terrific technology. I can hardly wait till you actually have it available for consumers. So very, very exciting
Excellent.
stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Wonderful opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well done. Thank you. And for those who joined us in the chat, thank you so much for your thoughtful comments and for participating. I really appreciate that. And we will be replaying this later on, and you can watch the whole thing on various streaming platforms. And we'll see you back here next week.